Hey, what's up, Patriots? This is Brian, host of The Resistance, a Contramundum podcast. On our podcast, we discuss major news stories, current events, politics, and anything that affects this amazing country of ours. If you love America and are concerned about the state of our country, then you are in the right place. You can subscribe to us on our host site, Red Circle, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and many other popular podcast platforms. So what are you waiting for? Get on over there and like, subscribe, and follow us. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember, if you're listening to this, you are the Resistance.
Welcome back to another episode of Conservative Conversations with your hosts, Reid and Frank. And it's a rainy afternoon on this April 5th of 2020. Are you snoring, Frank?
2022.
Oh, shit. I mean, poop. I said 2020, didn't I?
Yep.
Oh, I had a Biden moment there. But anyway.
Yeah, anyway, I'm doing pretty well. Except for the rain. Makes me sleepy. I just woke up from a nap about an hour ago.
Yep, it's one of those days here in Ohio.
Yep.
And with that, we'll go ahead and jump right into the news. And I believe, Frank, you're going to kick it off.
All right, yeah, well, I was not so shocked to see, more interested to see that Kamala Harris has had another staff member quit. This time it's her chief of staff, a guy named Michael Fuchs, something like that. F-U-C-H-S is the guy's name.
I've not heard it pronounced, so who knows?
Yeah, I don't know how to say it either. Kind of looks like a dirty word, but I won't pronounce it that way.
And you said it's her chief of staff?
Yeah.
That's like one of the top people.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yep. He's gonna step down and just be like whatever they call it, vice chief of staff until May, and then he's totally out. But he has stepped down from being chief of staff right now. And so I looked it up because I know, she must be pretty hard to work with.
Yeah,
we've heard these stories before.
Yeah, there's been another one like a month or so ago.
Yeah, so I actually looked up a list, and here's the full list of everybody that's left. Let's see, her deputy press secretary, Sabrina Singh, the chief spokesman, Simone Sanders, we knew about that one, the deputy director of public engagement and intergovernmental affairs, Vincent Evans, he quit. Director of Harris's press operations, Peter Vels. The Vice Presidential National Security Advisor, Nancy McEldowney. Boy, that's a hard one to say.
Yeah.
And Director of Speechwriting, Kate Childs Graham. So that's a big list.
Yeah, well, especially like her press person and that speechwriter. I mean, she's terrible with both. Her speeches and anytime she really has to interact with the press, that's either they weren't doing her a very good job or she just doesn't listen to anything they gotta say, so they just weren't gonna deal with it anymore.
Well, that makes 7 big people to stop working for her.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, with a track record like that, who's going to sign on and want to work with her?
Well, and, if you go back to when Trump was in office, anytime somebody would leave, the press would make a huge fuss out of it.
Yeah.
Saying how incompetent this administration is because they keep losing people and cycling through and churning employees. And here we go with this administration. They're losing people pretty much left and right. I just heard, I guess it would have been yesterday, that old Jen Psaki is going to be on her way out in a month or so. Heading straight over to MSNBC.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, it's already leaked that she's going over there.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah. And it's apparently no big deal that it's basically already confirmed that she'll be going there, and she's still fielding questions from
MSNBC.
Yeah, her future co-workers, basically.
Conflict of interest.
Oh, not to them. Not to them. Everything's above board in this administration.
Well, we all know that they work hand in hand with the Democrats anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, if you think back to, what was it, 2016, where they leaked the debate questions to Hillary.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Well, we always make jokes that in the morning they all share notes.
Oh, yeah.
Because especially when something big kind of happens, or especially with Republicans or other conservatives, they're all saying the same phrases over and over and over.
Yep.
Like they're sharing notes. So, yes, it's no surprise at all.
Yeah, I just feel bad for whoever does have to step up and, fill this vacancy now and work with Kamala.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It doesn't seem like very many people want to do it. So, I guess anybody that does do it hopefully likes the paychecks they're getting. Because that'd be pretty much the only thing that'd get me to do it.
Yeah, or, even if they go in with some kind of respect for Kamala, it seems like they might
come out without it.
Yeah, lose it pretty quickly.
Yeah. And no surprise, it's I'm sure we'll see more, especially with Kamala Harris around.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're only into their second year.
Yep. Definitely. Is that all you got for that topic?
Yeah, that was it. Just to say that I wasn't shocked, and then to pull up the list of those 7 big names.
Right. Well, I think that kind of adjacently ties into my topic with the big news that yesterday, at the time that we're recording, Elon Musk is now the largest individual shareholder of Twitter, and I believe he owns at least 9.2% of the company, which is more than Jack Dorsey owns, surprisingly. Jack Dorsey only owns 2.5% of Twitter. And the reason why I kind of think that ties in sorta is, a lot of people are thinking that he'll be able to make some changes how Twitter operates, and how they're always censoring or banning conservatives and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And not last year, but when the election was happening, we all know about Twitter censoring the New York Post with their article about Hunter Biden and his laptop. So hopefully, as the largest shareholder, Elon Musk will be able to help make some changes to how they operate and make it a more, free speech platform.
Well, we can hope that.
Right.
But I think I saw something up on our website at contemporaryconservative.net in our what is it? The news across the web. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw a headline that said something that Twitter would not reinstate Trump, even though Elon's on there and wants it to be fairer and all that. So I don't know exactly what he's going to be able to bring to the table, but I hope he leads it in a better direction.
Right. Well, I mean, there's pretty much 2 ways to go about changing the institutions, which we sort of talked about with our show we did with the Resistance. You can either build your own, which is sort of what the Daily Wire is doing. They're starting their own entertainment division, putting out movies that aren't woke. They're starting their own kids' content, their own book publishers, stuff like that. So you can either build your own, which can be hard to do, or you can take a page out of the liberals' book and do what they call activist investing, which is essentially what Elon Musk has done, is where, people try to get large stakes in publicly traded companies so they have a better sway of how that company operates, and, whether or not they invest towards, like oil and gas and stuff like that, which
right.
most liberal people would try to get a company to steer away from.
Right.
So I think, other than Elon Musk making his own new platform, which he sort of hinted at that he might do, but then you got to worry about trying to get everybody to move over there.
Yeah.
Because everybody's so used to using Twitter, and same with YouTube, and Rumble is kind of the conservative competitor, if you will. I don't know if they see themselves as that, but it's where people like Steven Crowder are trying to get more of their viewers to go to. So it's either, trying to get people to migrate, which is hard to do because everybody's so used to the one thing, or you do kind of what Elon Musk just did. Buy your way into the company so you have, a little bit of a foot in the door to try to get some changes made.
Yeah.
So, kind of like what you said, we don't know how much of a change you'll be able to make, but it definitely seems like there could be some positive outcomes to it. I think, anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me. Is that all you were going to say?
Yep, that is pretty much all I have on that.
It's interesting to me that you brought up the Hunter Biden laptop thing in some of that you were talking about.
Yep.
Because I saw a couple of headlines as we were preparing, today's show notes about Hunter, and it seems like that guy just can't stay out of the news. And so I saw a couple of interesting headlines I wrote down. I'll share the less interesting one first, but there's a story out about how he's living somewhere out in like Malibu, I think it is.
Oh, yep, I heard this with the security detail or what, Secret Service.
Yeah, and so he's at some kind of like mansion somewhere. Yeah, it is Malibu. He lives in some kind of mansion on like almost a 1 acre plot of land up on a hill, very secluded, gorgeous ocean views and everything like that. And instead of having his Secret Service detail live in this mansion with him, they're renting the one next door. And it's costing taxpayers $30,000 a month.
Jeez.
For them to live right next door to Hunter, to be able to protect him and whatever, and monitor his activities and whereabouts and, whatever it is that they do. So that's pretty crazy. And stories like this seem to follow Hunter around, $30,000 a month. But then the more interesting one is, a lot of people, a lot of the big news companies, even some of the lefty liberal ones, the New York Times and such, they've come around and they've started backpedaling and saying that, the laptop story was real.
Oh, yeah.
And that there was questionable materials on there, and there's questionable ties to, all this money he was getting overseas from Burisma and from China and these different things. And this guy named Hugo Gurdon from the Washington Examiner, he's out saying he recently did a segment with what's her name, Shanna Breams
Shanna Bream.
Shanna Bream.
On Fox.
Yeah, on Fox. He came over and they talked about a couple of different things, but I'm kind of picking on the Hunter Biden aspect of it right now. But anyway, in this interview with Miss Breams, he says that a Biden indictment is a real possibility now, because apparently you've seen this where
the headline.
Yeah, they've apparently impaneled a grand jury already, and they've been provided with some of the particulars about these deals and stuff. So apparently it's just, could happen any day now that he could actually be indicted and brought up on charges.
Yeah, that would be good. The big man baby of a person. He seems to always get himself in trouble, and most people, especially on the left, just brush it off like it's nothing. So I think, this would be good stuff, and especially as we get closer to 2024, if this actually happens, I think that'll definitely be damaging to the Democrats, even if it isn't Joe Biden running again. think it'll just kind of have a bad look for their party. And
well, yeah, and if he were indicted, if he were actually to be found guilty on any kind of crimes, which I don't know what they'll charge him with, maybe, I don't know. Do you think espionage or something? I don't know.
I don't even know what they would charge him with either. Yeah, like at first I was about to say embezzlement, but I don't think that would really count. I don't know.
I don't know, just being a shady person.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, I guess that could bring up, like, the potential thought that, you know, if it doesn't really seem like they got any good charges, is this just a show? Somebody trying to put on a show for something?
Well, I mean, just because we can't come up with what the particular charges are doesn't mean that they're not out there and available. I mean, I can tell you my personal opinion. I think he's guilty as hell. I think we've known it since, what, 2019 at least. So, and here, just to piggyback on the last story I said, if we can throw him in jail for any reason, that would sure save the taxpayers a lot of money.
Yeah, right about that.
I don't think he'd need any damn Secret Service detail living out of a Malibu mansion if he were in federal prison somewhere.
Right. You know, when you were talking about that, he has the Secret Service living next door. I mean, that makes me think, like, what's he got going on so much in his house that he can't be bothered to have Secret Service there?
Well, it's interesting.
Put him elsewhere.
It's actually really interesting that you bring that up because it's in the story, which, you know, will be posted in the show notes. But they do a comparison to Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. Mm-hmm. And they didn't live with their Secret Service detail either.
Oh, okay.
But they lived right in D.C., and the Secret Service had to get a nearby apartment to them, and that only cost the taxpayers $3,000 per month. But the funny thing is of course the liberals were all up in arms when it was Jared and Ivanka.
Uh-huh.
But now it's Hunter, and it's 10 times the price.
Right.
They're not even in D.C. They're out in Malibu. And it's no big deal.
Well, yeah, I guess, you know, everybody likes their privacy. But yeah, it's a expense of the taxpayers like that. I mean, just because you're the president's son, why should we automatically just let you know, bill the taxpayers $30,000 a month just to put your Secret Service next door? Because you want to live on a hill in Malibu. Yeah.
I mean, it is a little gauche.
Yeah. At least be reasonable about it.
Yeah, I mean, you could at least move up closer to D.C.
Right.
For goodness sakes. I mean, I'm sure there are some nice places in Arlington.
Right.
But that wouldn't be that expensive as Malibu.
Well, you don't even have to live in D.C., just somewhere else maybe.
Well, Arlington's Virginia. Oh, you mean the cheaper place in California?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much cheaper you're going to get. It's California, but still. Do you have to have your secluded little hill next to the beach, Hunter? No.
Well, he probably does.
Yeah. Well.
I've heard doing coke just ain't the same without an ocean view.
I guess that's probably true. The smell of the salt in the air and the smell of the Bolivian marching powder is something sweet.
It's good for those messed up sinuses.
That's right. It'll clear it right out. Help unclog that Parmesan cheese you got stuck.
Oh, that's right.
Anyway, does that take us on to my next one?
Yes, sir. I think it does.
Well, it's kind of related. We go from one beach sort of to the next beach down in Florida. I got a little bit of an article here. Well, here's another tie. Taxpayer money being wasted. Up in the great city of New York, the mayor is running billboards in 5 major cities in Florida that are trying to attract, the LGBTQIA plus symbol, tilde, all that stuff, back to New York after this, air quotes, scare quotes, don't say gay bill. And I got a few examples of what some of these
Well,
billboards.
who is the mayor up there? Are you talking about Eric Adams or?
Yeah,
Okay,
Eric Adams,
all right.
the supposedly more moderate mayor.
I just want to make sure I was remembering correctly.
Yep.
I did just wake up from a nap.
Yeah, it ain't de Blasio anymore, but I bet you if you ask some people, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But anyway, let's see. Here, where'd my notes go? Okay. Alright, this is one of the billboards that are running. Okay. Loud, proud, and allowed. Apparently, you're not allowed to be gay in Florida. That's what that billboard would suggest. And let's see, I got another one that's pretty good. Let's, hold on. Oh, here we go. People say a lot of ridiculous things in New York, but don't say gay is not one of them. So do you think these billboards, which I tried to get a number on how much this is going to cost the taxpayers in New York City, because there's 5 of them in 5 major cities of Florida, like Jacksonville, Orlando, I think West Palm Beach, Tampa, and somewhere else.
Probably Miami.
Probably. But they're running these ads, because we know about this supposed bill in Florida that's going to be harmful to gay people and transgender people and kids. Not just people, but the kids, the gay kids and transgender kids in Florida.
Gay kids.
Yeah, right? And I'm sitting here thinking, one, it's a big waste of taxpayers' money, because most people have already been leaving New York to go to Florida because of high taxes, crime, previously owners' COVID restrictions, which I don't know how much New York's relaxed on that, but that was one reason why a lot of people were leaving. And here, you're running 5 billboards in a fairly gay-friendly state about a law that's either most of these people don't understand or they're purposely misconstruing it. And I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah. Well, part of it's kind of sick, too. You know? Talking about that gay kids. I mean, it's horrible sexualizing minors.
Right.
I mean, it's just perverted. I don't care what the, how should I put this? I don't care what an individual's beliefs are or whatever, but you don't need to go shoving that on anybody's kid.
Right. Well, it isn't any teacher's right to be doing so. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. And this is a topic I actually hope soon we can get on somebody who lives in Florida that is part of the, well, I don't like saying the LGBTQ community. That's what the leftists call it. But somebody who is gay or lesbian who lives in Florida. Because I'd like to see, what their take on it is as somebody that lives there and sees and hears the local news covering this topic. So hopefully I might be able to get somebody on soon in the future to talk about that.
Did you have any ideas about that, or it's just a hope of yours?
Oh, I know who I can ask. It's just a matter of if they'd be willing to do so.
Yeah.
But hopefully...
I mean, because that would be interesting, because I'd love to see if they could acknowledge that the two often go in hand, those sort of more liberal sentiments about, this kind of behavior, the drag queen hour, the sending the little kids to these camps,
right,
you've heard about some of these camps where they dress up in drag and whatever, and then to put it together with the Disney story where, all these people turn out to be pedophiles, some of them, and sexual deviants, and harboring child pornography on their, home computers and whatever, and I don't know. I just think there's definitely something there. I mean, I'd never want to paint with a broad brush and say that's the point, or all these people are sick, or whatever. You know, I don't think that's the case. But there does seem to be a correlation between the two.
Yep. Yeah, but anyway, I think this is, to get back to the New York City mayor's billboards, I think it's going to be a big waste of their city's taxpayers' money, because I don't think it's going to be effective at all. Because I haven't seen any specific articles covering studies, but I've heard other commentators talk about recent polls that even a large majority of, gay and lesbian people, even in Florida, oppose, or I mean, not oppose the bill, but or for the bill, but oppose what they're trying to do to the kids.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a huge fail, and it's just another example of them like blowing something out of proportion.
And bandwagoning.
Yeah, bandwagoning, virtue signaling, all that stuff.
Yeah. When it's almost cringeworthy or
it is,
really.
Especially because one of the billboards I think that they have just says the word gay on it a bunch of times. Gay, 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 gay. It's like, you guys are so immature. Like, that's not anything related to this bill, and that's all you're caught up on. Especially like, not the Oscars, when those female hosts said they're gonna have a gay night, and they all just started saying gay, 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 gay over and over. Like, come on. It is cringeworthy. It's just ridiculous, immature behavior.
Yeah.
But what else do you expect from leftists?
Right? Well, that's exactly what I would expect.
Right, yep. But that's pretty much it for my topics. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this Supreme Court pick.
Sure.
Ketanji Jackson is her name. And it's actually kind of interesting, coming from the Florida topic over to this, because, they've been having these hearings up at the Senate Judiciary level over her appointment. And some of the things that she's ruled on have been child pornography cases, have been child rape, child abuse cases. And some of this has come up, a lot of there'll be, I think, four links under this topic in today's show notes. But a lot of the Republican senators are really not too happy with her, and they really dug into some of the particulars in her record and some of her decision making. And there were at least two big instances. One where a guy, let's see if I can remember what he did. He raped his 13-year-old cousin.
Ooh.
And the government wanted him to serve for 24 months in prison and then go on probation for 4 years. Well, Ketanji Jackson said, I don't have the exact quote, but she said one of those particular buzzword phrases that the liberals use. And she said that, discrimination against this guy or whatever, because of his history, his track record, she said was sort of why the government was asking for 2 years. And she felt that it wasn't fair. So she only sentenced him to 1 year in prison, including time served. So we're actually talking less than a year, from sentencing anyway. But and then 4 years of probation. Well, guess what? After he serves his whatever the difference was, 9 months, 8 months, or whatever,
he got out, did it again.
Yeah, to a lesser degree, but yeah, he ended up babysitting or being somewhere near where kids were being babysat. Oh, I think he got a job at a, believe it or not, I think he got a job at a daycare because he provided false information and didn't register as a sex offender. And he ended up trying to digitally penetrate a girl.
Oh, gosh.
And perform oral sex on her. And I think she was a family member of his as well.
What in the world?
And so the girl tries to press charges against him. And she's the one, I think, who raised the flag that he hadn't registered properly as a sex offender. And the man ended up bribing the girl. $2,500, got her to shut her mouth, recant.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sad.
So that got brought up, and then apparently there were others. I don't want to sit here and cycle through these headlines right here, right now. But I don't know. So it was interesting to me. Lindsey Graham spoke up, and he said that he's never not voted to confirm a Supreme Court nominee.
Yeah, I saw that too, but this is going to be his first one.
This will be his first one because he said that she's way to the left of anybody normal. She's way out there on the left. He gave an example from when Trump was still in office or something regarding a Trump era rule. Because she's been at one of the lesser courts right now. So she went out of her way, according to Lindsey Graham, to provide a temporary injunction against some Trump era rule. I don't know. I could pull it up in the article here, or that you folks could go find the article for yourselves and read it. But she did. She issued a temporary injunction against something that ended up being overturned anyway because it was perfectly legal. And he said that was proof enough for him. Set aside all this sexual misconduct stuff and the sentencing issues. He said he could tell that she's going to be the type of person who has an agenda. She wants to see an outcome, and she's going to get it come hell or high water. She's going to put everything else aside and just say, let's get the outcome we're going for.
Well, I think that's kind of shows in her choices to go very low sentencing, because that's the outcome she wants.
Well, yeah, and it's in this idea, of course, I'm sorry if I didn't say this before, but the perpetrator in the last case was African American, like she is. And so that's kind of where I was going with that whole, there's a disparaging track record, blah, 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 whatever. It's unjust because black people are so oppressed and whatever, So she's trying to undo that, all these years of oppression and let these rape victims rape, man. Just let them do it because they're African American, damn it. So but anyway, the one other thing I have to say on that is I've been wondering, the Senate is split 50-50. Even the committees are evenly split 50-50. So in this case, the Judiciary Committee right now is split 11 Dems and 11 Republicans, 11-11. So I've been wondering, how in the hell is this even going to move forward? I mean, we've talked before about how it's not that big of a deal, that we're replacing Breyer with another liberal, because he's a liberal. But I have kind of wondered about the particulars. But in one of these 4 articles, or maybe a couple of them, it talks about what the cure is for the split Judiciary Committee vote. So if it votes right down the line, 11-11, then it moves over to the whole Senate, and they have to vote on whether or not it can come out of committee.
Right. Well, I have already heard that our 3 major Republican squishes are going to vote for Murkowski, Collins, and Romney.
Yeah. Well, in these 4 articles, only Collins is mentioned, but I absolutely believe you about the other 2 squishes because of the nature of who they are.
Yep.
But yeah, so apparently when it comes out of committee and goes over to the full Senate floor, they're just going to be voting on whether or not it can come out of committee first. And they only need a simple majority to do it. Then it'll actually move to an actual confirmation vote, because it will be considered out of committee at that point. So I think it'd be interesting to see the differences. I think there probably will be some differences in the final vote, because for the first one, for it to just come out of committee, I mean, Oh, excuse me. Shit.
That's okay.
We're on the right. But anyway, what's so hard to agree to about that? Can it come out of committee? Sure.
Yeah.
Big deal. It comes out of committee. So I bet that one may actually be your 53 votes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But I think it'd be interesting to see on the final vote for confirmation if it stays at 53 or if it's going to get closer to a 51.
Well, I'm trying to remember, does the judicial nominee, does that require a 51 or a 60 votes?
I believe it takes 51.
Okay. Yeah, if it does, then I feel like they're definitely going to get all of them that they need, especially with those 3 Republicans joining the Democrats.
Yeah, I think it used to be 60.
Yeah.
But I think they changed it. I think it was old Harry Reid. And then we told them, the Republicans said, you guys will regret this.
Yep.
And that's why when Trump was in, we were able to just slam
Yeah,
through.
that's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, well, it doesn't really surprise me that much. I kind of didn't really see any good reason why she'd get completely held up and not make it at all.
I mean, but she does seem to be pretty radical.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
She seems, I mean, Graham says it, I'm just echoing him, but she seems to be more liberal than Breyer, more liberal than Sotomayor, and more liberal than, what's the one, it starts with a K?
Kagan?
Kagan, yeah. So, I mean, and I know how some of them act, these lefties. So once they get her on there, it's going to be, I bet it's going to be like, pedal to the floor.
Yep, well, I mean, besides her ideologies and stuff, I'm sure I've mentioned this about some other people in the past. I don't know what it is about her other than there's something about the way she speaks that just rubs me wrong.
Yeah. When I don't like some of her facial expressions and stuff, she rubs me as like very much a Hillary Clinton type. She seems very smug.
Yep, I kind of get that, yeah.
Just full of herself.
Yep. And this sometimes, I think, is what does it for me with some people in the way they talk is she seems to speak too properly. Like she's trying too hard to speak properly. Like she's really clear on like her pronunciations of words. She emphasizes F's and ofs and THs and thes and stuff like that. I mean, other than, like I've said before about some people, it seems to rub me the wrong way. I don't know why. I haven't figured it out. But she's another one of them.
Yeah.
Something gives me the creepy crawlies about her.
Well, and you'll have to write to us and let us know if she maybe gives you the creepy crawlies too.
Yeah.
How you think this might go.
Yep. And you can send us any of your feedback on any of the topics we covered today. If you think Elon Musk is going to shake up Twitter, if you think these billboards in Florida are silly, and if you think Hunter Biden's going to get the can, let us know what you think, listeners.
Yeah, and hey, do us a favor, too. Why don't you go over and check out our other channel, the Wicky Wacky radio show. We just put up a new, pretty hilarious April Fool's episode that I think you might enjoy listening to. So
that's right, it's a pretty good one. One of our best so far, I'd say. And with that, I think that's all I got. Is that all you got?
Yes, sir.
All right. And listeners, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and many other major platforms. You can also check out our website at contempcoserv.net for more info and content there. And be sure to tune in next time to hear what we have to say.
And as always, thanks for listening.